My name is Dawn. I'm the president of Canco Park Conservancy, and welcome to Canco Park. Once a parking lot, now a pocket park. We're located within the Marion section between Journal Square and West Side in Jersey City. At 1/3 of an acre, Canco Park is made up of a long, low, rolling grass hill and 4 garden areas. I'm going to show 2 of them to you today. The Wildlife Habitat Garden, sponsored by the Bergen County Audubon Society, and our Pollinator Garden. Both are lush and green and lovely. Come take a look. Hi. Before we take a look at the gardens, I thought I would point out an important architectural element here at Canco Park, and that is the birch bower. A bower is architectural landscape speak for a place where shady trees loop together and form a cool, shady spot. And these are 6 groupings of multi-branched birch, and it's a very special place. It's about 10 degrees cooler underneath here than it is in the rest of the park. And it's a really intimate, exquisite space, all created by nature. Here at the main entrance of Canco Park is the beginning of the Wildlife Habitat Garden. This is a heuchera. The heuchera is a native plant that you can find in the woodlands here in northern New Jersey. It has these lovely spires that grow from the top with little white flowers on them. The flowers are almost gone, but there's a lot of interest in the shape of these stems and even in the spent flowers. The leaves are dark and glossy and have this great pattern on them. Next to it is creeping phlox. You will also find this in native areas in New Jersey. It has slightly fuzzy leaves. It creeps along the ground and spreads through these little vines and creates new plants everywhere it touches. And the flowers are little 4-petaled hot pink flowers that are past now, but it still fills in and looks absolutely beautiful. As we move along through the woodland area, we notice this is Solomon's seal. Here's a label. We obtain this through Wild Ridge Plant Farm. It is found all over New Jersey. Underneath it, you can see these little tiny thread shapes. Each one of those held a white bell-shaped flower, which are very fragrant and great for pollinators. This is the Virginia waterleaf, also obtained from Wild Ridge Plant Farm. It is a native that you will find. Oh, here's more of the creeping phlox. Creeping all over the place. It also grows a white flower on this type of stem, and they're white and they're lacy and they're really beautiful. These are our native irises. These are found along wetlands and woodland areas near water. They're baby blue in color when they're blooming. They naturalize and spread through the ground through rhizomes, and they're filling in this entire area so nicely. Oh look, we have a visitor. I want to take this opportunity just for a second to talk about the Bergen County Audubon Society for a moment. The Bergen County Audubon Society made this entire habitat garden possible through a generous donation and a lot of guidance and a lot of education. They really taught us how to create the space into a wildlife habitat to support birds, bees, and butterflies. We're now entering the astilbe patch. These astilbe are a gorgeous plant. They spread through the ground using these little tubers. It looks like a little potato. We planted about 6 of these, but this entire area has naturalized and filled in. This is what the flowers look like when they're about to go to seed. This is what they look like when they're halfway to becoming seed. And this is what they look like when they're in full bloom. This is the purple variety we have here, but each of these are a different color and shade of purple, pink, white. There are some green ones. We don't have any of those yet. Oh, something I'd like to point out is our elderberry. We have an elderberry patch over here that we're growing. We planted 3 plants together. We like to plant in threes so the plants can support each other. And these plants were about this big last July, and now they've grown 3 times the size, and I'm sure they will reach somewhere between 10 and 12 feet. The elderberry plant is a fabulous plant for bird support. It grows bushy and leafy. They can hide in it. They can create nesting spaces in here, and most importantly, they feed off of the berries that are going to come later in the season. The elderberry is also a favorite of bears, so if you find a giant elderberry patch in the deep woods of New Jersey, look out for bears. This is lovely. This is the seed pods for the penstemon plants. We have a penstemon patch planted here. Say that fast. Penstemon planted patch here. These penstemon grow the most glorious flowers that are trumpet-shaped and are a favorite of hummingbirds and many butterflies. This area was covered in butterflies while they were in bloom just about 2 weeks ago. In this area in the rear, we have ironweed. Ironweed develops a frilly, deep purple, exquisite flower, and it's a favorite of the skippers. The skippers are a tiny classification of butterflies that are about that big, and they're a delight to watch. They literally skip around through the flowers. This is another favorite of the Audubon Society and of us. It is the Joe Pye weed. We have quite a bit of it. It grows pretty tall. It's about to come into bloom, and you'll see lacy looking pink and white flowers on that plant. So please come and check out check out the Joe Pye weed over the next week or so. The star of the show. This is the pink swamp milkweed. We grow a lot of milkweed here at Canco Park because the milkweed is the only plant that the monarch butterfly will lay its eggs on. It's also the only plant that the monarch butterfly caterpillars feed from. So by planting this here, we are supporting a natural habitat for monarch butterflies. That is, this little bright orange insect is the milkweed beetle. It naturally does feed on the milkweed, and it'll chew little holes in the leaves, but it's all part of the cycle, so we leave them alone. There's another of the milkweed beetles. Oh, he just flew away. Shy beetle. The flower we're looking at now is a tall coneflower. These petals, instead of being a regular daisy shape, as it matures, these petals recurve backward and look absolutely beautiful. They look like little umbrellas. Again, great pollinator plant. The butterflies go crazy for it. You too can grow a native habitat like this and include these plants in your own garden. And here's another patch of it, much bigger, much taller, just bigger plant. Right behind it we have a water source for the birds. It's important for them to have a little privacy around their water so they don't feel attacked while they're using their water. Here's something kind of interesting. We have these very beautiful wild onion. It doesn't smell as much as a regular onion that you might grow in your garden or find at the supermarket. It doesn't smell like a scallion. It's a little milder, but it does develop these really incredible flowers. The whole stem recurves downward, and gets a white puff-shaped flower with little green details. It's quite lovely. Super easy care and looks very pretty in the front of the border. We planted 2 last year, but somehow we have 3 separate plants here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or 13 plants on this one side. Oh, and more here. It's really amazing how it spreads. Yeah, it's a wonderful plant. This is something very special. This is a spice bush. And the spice bush is the host plant for a certain type of swallowtail. It's the spice bush swallowtail. And I invite you to look up the caterpillar for the spice bush swallowtail butterfly. The caterpillar is wild looking. It's bright green and has these 2 big markings on it that look like giant eyes. It looks like a little alien. Literally, we wanted this specifically so we can see those caterpillars in person. I hope they come this summer. This entire area is the balance of the habitat garden. And what you'll find in here are a number of different asters. We probably have about 6 or 7 different types of asters, which grow a small daisy-shaped flower. This one, I believe, is a purple aster. Further in, we have little white asters that look like little white daisies. And all of this works together to support butterflies, bees, and birds, all the pollinators. This is our wildlife habitat certification from the National Wildlife Federation and the New Jersey Audubon Society. By creating this wildlife habitat, we qualified for a certification, and by following the rules of the certification, it gave us a roadmap to build this wildlife habitat garden. And just in front of the sign is a very special plant indeed. This is our woodland poppy. The woodland poppy grows these lovely yellow flowers. Look at the middles on those. They're really beautiful. And the cup-shaped petals hold moisture. This plant is found in woodlands, in shady areas, and usually close to water. This particular section that we planted in is a replication of what dappled woodland sunlight would be. So this plant is very happy here. And it is a slightly moist area, so we're hoping that it will do well. This is what the seed pods look like. These seed pods are crazy looking. They're soft, but they're a little bit spiky. This is the pollinator garden. Our pollinator garden is certified by monarchwatch.org as a monarch way station. The Monarch Way Station is a program that creates pollinator gardens to support the monarch butterfly. This particular pollinator garden is created with the idea of biodiversity in mind, meaning as many types of plants as possible to support as many butterflies as possible. Some of the plants within the garden support butterflies for nectar, that is for food. Other plants that are here support them as a host plant, meaning that it is the plant that they eat, it is the plant that their caterpillars eat, it is the plant that they lay their eggs on, and it's integral for their survival. You'll also notice within this garden that we have a number of how pretty. We have a number of herbs in this garden. We allow herbs to go to seed and go to flower within the garden because, believe it or not, these little tiny flowers, they support a certain type of butterfly. This is the herb known as rue. I just found out this year that in addition to dill and parsley for swallowtail butterflies, there are certain swallowtails that love rue. So we literally planted it just so that we could see them come. There she goes. This is dwarf betony. I love this plant. It's great for, oh, look, there's a bee. He's actually a hoverfly. He moved very quickly, but he's a hoverfly. He flies in a pattern more like a helicopter than a bumblebee does. Here he is, he's back. This is wonderful. So that big hoverfly is a pollinator. He's not quite a bumblebee or a honeybee, but he is a pollinator. if you sit still for just a minute, you can see that so many insects come here and touch on each and every flower. It's wonderful. So the dwarf betony, back to that, it is a purple flower, but if you look closely at the clusters, each one of them is shaped like a little trumpet. So again, certain pollinators come, they put their proboscis in there, they drink the nectar, and they pollinate. Here we have seed pods from our columbine. If you shake them, you might hear them. They sound like a rattle. That's because they're full of seeds. Here's some of the seeds on my hand. We received some of these from a Heights resident named John Crittenden when he was leaving his home that he had had for many years. He lived in an old brownstone that had a turn-of-the-century garden in the rear. So he donated these beautiful 100-year-old columbine to us, and they have spread throughout the garden. What we'll do is we will cut these seed pods and save them, and we'll distribute those to other gardens and to gardeners, anyone who asks us for seeds, anyone that's interested in propagating this particular type of columbine, we will share. This is great. We also have plants that we allow to naturalize here, little small plants in the border. This is a columbine. We dry the flowers at the end of the year and again pass out seeds or give out dried flour to make tea from. Salvia, good old salvia. These are liatris. These are called blazing star liatris. They are native to the area, and you will find these in woodlands. The flowers are tufted, they're very soft, they're very beautiful, and they add a lot of upright interest in the garden. So from a design element, they're just a lovely plant to have. So this area is filled with things that bees and butterflies love. In the rear here is a tropical milkweed. Again, another variety of milkweed. We need to support the monarchs specifically, but a lot of butterflies love this. I'm really enjoying petting this flower right now. It's really funny. The coloring is just gorgeous, and because of the coloring, it really attracts them. Even though the plant is buried here, it's usually covered in butterflies later in the day. This is another native. This native is a native to the petunia. They call it wild petunia. It has a fabulous fragrance. And this is what happens when the flowers get a little older. They actually peel off of the stamen. The stamen stays attached to the plant, and the flower peels right off of there. And it smells wonderful. It smells amazing. I'm going to leave that right there for somebody to find. You'll see as you look across that this is a jumble, a beautiful jumble, a cacophony of garden plants. And they're here to feed our butterflies and our bees. I thank you for joining us. And let's take a walk through just so you can get a lay of the land. But come visit soon.